Hey, welcome, all my right thinkers. Thanks for tuning in to check out your boy, P Funk. Think about it in my living room where I do what I do for you. It's all good. Today, writers 25 will live by storytelling. Story with a message, message in a story for life. Today, you're getting a lesson from the book. Taking it to the book today. Okay? Got one for you. Got a whole bunch of lessons in there, so be prepared. That's what we're going to do today. Let's get it. Right thinking mission is to enlighten you, inspire, educate, and motivate you, the individual, to a higher spiritual level of enlightenment. Give you information that can help you know who you are. Right thinking is way of life through mental and spiritual discipline daily will help and guide you to obtain your goal of spiritual enlightenment, aka know thyself. That's the mission of all right thinkers. All you newcomers, that's your mission. If you're a right thinker, you want to know who you are. And I'm asking a question. After the mission statement comes the question. Do you know you? Which one of these persons are you? Know thyself is the question. A person who knows not and knows not that they know not is foolish. Disregard them. A person who knows not and knows that they know not is simple. I can teach you. Tune in. That's why I do what I do for you. A person who knows not and believe that they know, dangerous, avoid them. I do. A person who knows but knows not that they know, is spiritually asleep. I'm a spiritual alarm clock. I can wake you up with knowledge of self. That's what I do. A person who knows and knows that they know is wise. Follow them. All these persons reside in you. Right thinkers, know thyself. And to Maya, be true. You know, I love my girl, and I always got to show reverence and think about it. If you understood, you probably would too. But today, I got a lesson for you. It's called, we just did speaking of my yacht, I just closed out the 42 Confessions of my yacht did a while ago, so I'm picking up on that one. And the title of this one is The Root of Violence and Vice is Ignorance. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it. Just today's lesson. Here you go. Mostly, the cause of violence and vice is ignorance of one's true identity as being one with higher self, meaning knowing who you are. If you're ignorant of self, you're gonna do a whole bunch of nonsensical things. Violence and vice is one of them. Let's go. All right, here you go. Where you at? Once you acquire self-knowledge, spiritual knowledge, aka right thinking philosophy, there is peace. You have gained contentment and total joy, aka blissed out or fulfillment. Without spiritual knowledge, you're in a state of ignorance. You'll never obtain bliss. You'll never reach nihas. You'll never know yourself if you remain ignorant of self. This is the thing you need to learn. Here you go. There's always something that seems to be going wrong or missing continuously over and over while you try to live your life. You swear you're doing the right thing and things just ain't working out for you. It's the reason why. Okay? Trust me. The deeply rooted desires of the human flesh wears down the human being's ability to what? Act with reason and righteousness. Now the mind and the will is what? Weakened, and with what? Negative actions, which are accepted and sanctioned by the weak-minded individual. See? If a person is not intelligent enough to think past the situation that he's involved in, we call that the 7 layers of ignorance. Okay? 7 rings of ignorance. You got 7 rings of the Kundalini. You got 7 rings of ignorance. Let's go over them right quick. The first one is ignorance. The second one is desire. Third, greed, passion, weak-minded, and irrationality. See where we're going here? Now you got negative actions. Negative action brings on what? Frustration. Frustrated people love to do what? Be angry, and they hate on people because they're in the position they're in. They're not getting by. And after that, when you get to that point, you reach the anger and hatred. The next level is the actual act of violence. You're going to lash out. How should be that way? I know all these, trust me, all these signs, I refer back to it, remember like it was yesterday. But you can change that within yourself because you got control. Watch this. Let me read this to you. It says, the ancient Egyptian proverb, the fool who does not hear, he can do nothing at all. He sees knowledge in ignorance, usefulness in harmfulness. He does all the things that one actually detests. It's not a good person, okay? If you that person or you know somebody like that, leave them alone. And if you that person, change. It's not good. Next one is, from that you go to the movement of what? Spirituality and virtue. You live a good, righteous, spiritual life. That's when you change from violence to spirituality. Let's talk about the movement to virtue. The movement to virtue is a path of what? Right thinking philosophy. When you practice this, the Egyptian yoga mystery system, where it comes from, Shita Netta, you have to do what? Listen and live the teachings. To learn something and not use it is a waste of time. Like most of the education system today. I ain't going there. Leave it alone. All right, but here you go. Now watch this. When you live the teachings, you're reflecting upon and live by them in what? Your everyday life. You can't have a program where you do it today and don't do it tomorrow. And try to, no, it's got to be on a daily routine. Everything that you learn, it's got to be implemented daily. Watch this. You live by them in everyday life and what? Meditate, or you intensify your understanding by doing what? Feeling your good feeling toward what? Living in devotion toward the divine and detachment towards what? The transient world or ordinary human experiences. I live for a higher level. When you reach higher levels of spirituality, you don't live in the ordinary level. You upgrade because everything now is done on a higher level. You hear me say spiritual discipline. Ordinary people have regular discipline, knowing right from wrong. Well, okay, but you spiritually disciplined, you hold yourself accountable to do what? The right thing. I know right from wrong. Now I'm holding myself accountable to do what's right. Not say, well, no, I'm going to do the right thing. I used to love to do the wrong thing. Complete change, 180. Here you go. By this. But the practice of right thinking philosophy, aka my Egyptian yoga concepts, will gradually cause what? A transformation in your lifestyle, which leads you from what? Darkness, aka ignorance, to light, aka knowledge of self. Okay? Ignorance of spiritual knowledge is the wrong concept. Spiritual knowledge is the way to live a good life. Reverse that, you got spiritual enlightenment, you have experience of the divine. When you become spiritual enlightened, it's because you would have had that what? That mystical experience, that but God moment, that idea of knowing you and God are one. That's the nihas, that's the anointment. That's what every religion is supposed to get you to. That's what you aspire to be. Inspired and motivated because you know you and God are one through what? Study, learning, and living. And you have faith. Faith is going to take you to the next level. When you reach that next level of experiencing, faith dissipates. Now you have knowledge. And without that, with no faith, you are ignorant. If you are ignorant to your spiritual self, you're walking dead. You're wasting time. Why? Because you're not going to do anything that you need to do to get what you need done for yourself. You're that first guy. You don't know that you don't know. Obviously, some people don't care, but that's fine. Everybody ain't gonna do it. Let me give you a quick step. It's called 6 Steps to Spiritual Enlightenment. This is what will get you to the next level. First of all, the lessons I'm giving, you have to be understanding of them. That's the first lesson. Understand right thinking philosophy, and you do what? You gain self-control and contentment with what? Knowledge of self. You start to learn yourself, so you got to become content. You ain't looking and searching. And next one is you have inner fulfillment. You become happy with yourself. When you know yourself, you feel good about yourself. And inner fulfillment brings what? Happiness. Happy to have happiness on your side. Wow, when you're living right, that's what you have. And when you're happy with inner fulfillment, that leads you to peace, aka Hotep. Okay? After you reach that peaceful state, ding, 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 you reach the seventh level, which brings you to spiritual enlightenment, aka understanding that you are an immortal being because you know yourself and the spirit is immortal. Usa. Now you have a, excuse me, you have a clear understanding, okay, that and how it relates to the process of what right thinking philosophy in the three stages of learning are listening, reflecting, and meditating on the teachings. You have to get good and proficient in your lessons of learning about who you are. Now, if all creation is one whole and we are part of that whole, then what does that really mean? Who we are in the world. The question is, in spiritual form, which is inside the body, the ego, watch this, the ego thinks it's in control. I own a house, I have a car, I got a big TV, I own land. That's the ego speaking. See, it's saying I, me, speaking for itself. And in reality, the spirit is saying, you own nothing. Putting them in check. Spirit put the ego in check. You are just a passing caretaker on your psycho spiritual journey through this physical life, particular lifetime at this point in time. And you're in this body for a purpose and a reason to find yourself so that you can go home. Obviously, the spirit is still trapped here on earth because it haven't been awakened. You got a bunch of unenlightened spirits running around here. Okay, that's another lesson. But watch this. Spiritual beings, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I keep telling you that. We are human beings, but what's inside is spirit that makes us human. The flesh is what makes us human because it works on the 5 sense premise. But it's what's inside that make it work. So why do we hoard things? The ego. Again, whenever you're doing something in this world to thinking that's all ego. Why do we proudly and egoistically show off our possessions? I'm a victim of it. I like to drive a nice car. I like to have a nice house. So I'm not immune to it, but I don't let it control and dictate me to the point where I got. No, just things that you work hard for, okay? In life, when you put in the effort, you reward it for things that you deserve. So if you drive a big fancy car, got a big house, 9 times out of 10, you earned it. That's fine. But ain't none of that going with you. So if you think that's the end all be all, that's where your ego traps you in this world for another do-over until it wakes up to realize, I want to be better. Okay? Watch this. Where is it? I'll show you person for all to see. Yeah, the ego. That's why now you live your life. What? The way you live your life will determine your fate in the afterlife. Remember, you reap what you sow. In the judgment day, that's when the sowing takes place because they're going to find out what you did. Okay? So if you were selfish, watch this, in your life, and sometimes you think you can get away with stuff because nobody knows. That's the part about, I tell sneaky people and deceitful people, God knows your heart. I ain't going there. Understand that, please. Then, if you understood that God knows your heart, if you were selfish in your life, then you would experience deprivation after death. Why? Again, you reap what you sow. And this is caused by what? Your own Satanian negative attitude. Therefore, sharing is the cornerstone for what? Peace. And if it is the supreme expression, it is the supreme expression of love. When you care about somebody other than yourself, that's godly. I told you, I got mine when I got my cat. Speaking of cats, my cat just came home. He ain't all there yet, but he's home. I appreciate that. That's cool. But yeah, when you show love for somebody other than yourself, and this is why a quick lesson, I call that guy the devil. A devil is anybody in opposition to God. Anybody. If you're ego driven, you're in opposition to God. So what that make you? There you go. Don't get caught up in the concept when I'm trying to make a point by asking simple questions that require a yes or no answer. You think about, yeah, just answer it. If the shoe fits in the brother, you got to put it on. You can't avoid it. We must also understand that our fortunate or unfortunate, prosperous or adverse conditions arise from what? Our own karma, our own actions. And when it's bad, when it's negative, when it's against us, by our own hands, it's called fetters. When you cause yourself pain and harm, you not commit suicide, but a fetter. That means you causing a problem. You're your own problem. Most of us don't have a clue about that. That's not a lesson. But here you go. Now watch this. This law is a law of what Iri, which is karma, action, is also sustained by Maya. Balance. Okay? It's either going to be one or the other. Watch this. Now, you can reverse the negative situation by what? Changing your lifestyle, purifying your heart by what? Living right. If you live Maya, right thinking philosophy, correct, and use correct action in the present time from here forth on, maybe you can reverse the trend. Maybe you can change your karma. I'm not saying yay or nay, but it's never too late to start. Because you know if you keep going on that road, you know where that one's in. You know that's going nowhere. Change it. Change your perspective. Change the way you're thinking. Change your lifestyle and see what happens. Watch this. See, in order to eradicate the seeds of what? Violence, negativity, Satanian concept in one's heart, you must learn humility, spiritual knowledge, and adapt the concept of what? Giving selfless service to all of humanity. That's God's will. That's why I do what I do for you. I'm trying to teach and give something that's beneficial to you. I have no hidden agenda. I have no underlying purpose other than to give you the information that I know works for you. That makes me trustworthy. That's all. Here you go. Maya won't allow your mind to entertain wrong thoughts. Why? If you're thinking right, you're acting right, then you block out those negative thoughts, such as greed, envy, lust, sexual pleasures, all those things that the flesh wants. I live spiritual. The flesh don't run the show. Young men, well, if you're a young man, you're going to have a problem because it's hard. Older men, it's a little easier. Why? Because you done did all the nonsense, hopefully, but you got to control the flesh. You know what I'm saying? Flesh, you know what I'm talking about, man. Brothers, fellas, okay? Below the waist, all right? Put into the service, okay? If you want to think right, do right, be right, you have to put that into service of what? Some righteous action. Cause that will help purify your heart. Living right, doing right, treating people right. That's how you lighten your heart. You purify your heart by doing good deeds, righteousness. That's how it's done. Your heart and your mind have to come together. This leads you to what? The spiritual movement that will guide you to what? Spiritual enlightenment, aka Nihas. Ding, ding, ding. The real spiritual resurrection in self. You're going to kill off the old you and born again new. All right here while you're still here. Now, watch the concept. This is how you purify your heart. It's called Maya, purity of heart. It states, when opulence and extravagance are a necessity instead of righteousness and truth, society, we know, will be governed by greed and injustice. Now, this was said ancient times. This is an ancient philosophical concept. Sound like somebody just wrote it today, because that's where we are right now. We got crooked government. We got illegal stuff going on. We got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Ain't none of it good. So watch this. Back then, when I did this was back in 8/25/19. Trump was in office then. Okay, I said the government back then. I use his name because he was in charge. And everything we was doing seemed to be just wrong, just blatantly wrong. Just nobody cared. It's just I'm telling the truth. I'm getting suspended. I'm getting threatened. I'm getting gigged for just telling the truth about them. So I started doing that. That's how I came back to staying in my lane. But yeah, when you have a crooked at the top, everything else gonna be crooked. If I had bad structure up here, oh, this is gonna crumble anyway. Okay, so when you build it on false pretenses and unjust things, it won't stand. That's why God stands on my yacht. Truth, justice, and reciprocity. Everything that's divine. Anything else will fall. And it has. If you really understood that God is in form of Mayat, is behind every situation in your life, so to speak, just as she is behind the relentless and the perfection of movement of the planets and stars. Remember, Ra stands on Mayat. She assists consistency, order, order, order. Okay, that's what she do. Now, along with this knowledge, you will develop a feeling of what contentment within yourself, and then you will be able to do what? Avoid the useless nonsense and negative situations that you bring upon yourself, aka fetters in your life. For those people who expect certain things out of life but don't really realize that the world, rude awakening, watch this, is not set up to pamper your ego, to satisfy you. You can expect all the things that work with things that you want in your life. But if you don't put forth the effort, if you don't do the things you need to do by using what? By knowing and being right, understanding how to live by Mayat, the Divine Mother, who will always grant you what you need, just as good as a good parent. Nature takes care of its own. When you're living, doing and being the spiritually righteousness and living Mayat, watch this. And she provides for all their children's needs in life. Example, I'm learning some stuff. This is a good lesson here that I know from way back. So as a follower of Mayat, right thinking lifestyle, spiritual, you are a spiritual aspirant, you will have to do what? First thing you have to do is surrender your egoistic ways, your egoistic desires to the will of Maya. Meaning you're eradicating Set. You're putting him in, not in control. Put your foot on his neck. Keep him under your foot. Why? Control him, or he'll control you. Once you do this, you will realize that the tension, the anxiety, all the unnecessary stress that you created and caused yourself, the fetters, by pressuring yourself, was all useless and very much self-destructive, because it led you away from your inner peace, and it did not allow you to have the clarity of mind to see a way out of your life situations that you put yourself into. The fetters, if you ain't thinking right, if you ain't functioning on a certain level, you're going to constantly be in that situation and can't seem to get out. Wonder why I'm always here. Yeah, because you continually doing the same thing. Sound like insanity. Watch this. The use of right thinking philosophy will help you to what? Develop more balance, okay, harmony in your daily life. This is also called right thinking philosophy or right living, aka Maya. With this balance, you will be able to know which direction to take in life. Follow Mr. Wright. I go the right way. Do the right thing. Trust me. This is the daily guidance of the Divine Mother Maya. Living right on a day-to-day basis. I tell you, that's how it's done, and you get good at it. Therefore, you should see yourself, watch this, as an instrument in the hands of the Divine Mother Maya. I teach order. I try to break it down for you, simplify it so you can use it, understand it, and make it part of your life. That's how you live it. This is done by putting down your ego, personality, whenever it tries to arise. Them negative thoughts, them bad thoughts, you squash them by using Maya, purifying the heart. If it ain't good, it ain't in. If it's not a good, I don't want it in my mind. Why? I don't do negative thoughts. You stop them, okay? That's that other guy. Positive thoughts, you be God conscious. All my thoughts are positive and constructive, okay? Watch this. As a right thinker, you should always choose to act with righteousness, right thinking, instead of egoism, and know you will be provided for, and you need not worry about anything when you're living right and doing right. Maya will look after you. Watch this. Such as if you ever been in trouble. Watch this. And somehow, in some mysterious way, I've heard people talk about this too. It worked out in your favor. Mm-hmm. That wasn't luck. It wasn't chance. That's what we call the grace of the Divine Mother. When nature gives you the break, that's the heavenly break that we're looking for every now and then, but you don't get it unless you earn it. So therefore, you should devote yourself to perform self-service whenever you can in the name of the goddess Maya. You don't have to hoop and holler about why you do what you did, who you did it for, and all this nonsense. No, you do the stuff. I do what I do because I want my blessing from there, not from man. Okay, that's what that comes about to be. That's what it's about. Right thinking concepts is to help others in every opportunity as it arises, and at the same time keep company with who? Virtuous, spiritual people with like high-minded morals as yourself. If you want to live and do right, you got to be around the same people. It makes it a lot easier than you going back to the hood trying to tell everybody, yo, man, I'm better. I'm going to make my life. Nobody wants to hear that. But if you're around people who doing that, you right in line where you need to be. Like me. All right, here you go. I'm almost done. I appreciate you tuning in. Pray every morning. Meditate to the divine self. Will make you a better, will make this a better world. If everybody got the idea and the concept, we just talked about the Great Awakening in my last lesson, but that ain't gonna happen. So every individual had to make it personal amongst themselves, okay? Wow. Pray that your heart be purified, that by living Maya, by right thinking, philosophy, concepts, will help you to cleanse the mind of negative thoughts such as anger, hatred, greed, jealousy, anxiety, stress, dullness, insecurity, agitation, and anything else that you can think of that goes on that negative concept, which will cripple your ability to discover your divineness, bliss, and happiness within oneself. If you do all these things, it will give you insight into yourself in order to discover your calling. And when you discover your calling, you will feel a deeper and more pleasurable concept toward the work that you have chosen to do in the name of your Creator. If you're going to be a warrior for God, put your walking shoes on and get busy. You don't do complaints, you don't do excuses, okay? And the last part about this is the work you had chosen, in which it is not measured with monetary things, aka money. I don't do this for income. I do it to save souls and get people going the right way. I take joy in that. Righteous actions, selfless service, meditation, the study of right thinking philosophy teachings of self-control, equanimity, harmony, peace, order, contentment, and the effacement, which is overcoming your ego, are all trademarks of right thinking philosophy, aka living Maya. So as a spiritual aspirant, you must surrender yourself with this divine way of living, right living, because it is the substance in which leads you to spiritual enlightenment and the realization of immortality and supreme bliss while you're still alive and on the earth. Have a good one. I appreciate you. I'll be back. I got some more.